can I share my screen?
Yeah, Kobe, Nee is working on it right now. So
Okay.
you can start talking.
All right. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard of ChatGPT. A lot of us here are on social media. I'll be surprised if no one here or one person, even one person here is not on social media. That means that you don't even use WhatsApp. And as you probably even know now, our text messaging services on some of our smartphones have even advanced into what we call RCS, which allows us to text like we would do on WhatsApp and Telegram. So you can't say you're not on social media. And the advent of artificial
Okay,
intelligence has
sorry,
caused,
Kobe, you can try it
yep,
now. You can try sharing your screen
okay,
now.
sure.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Okay, let me move this here. Yeah. Okay, so now that that is there, let me just do some feature kaka. Okay, so as I was saying, ChatGPT, AI, artificial intelligence has become the in thing lately, where everybody's talking about one kind of AI tool that they've been using for this, and one name that stands out of all of them is ChatGPT. There are other options, but I'm sure everyone here has heard of ChatGPT. If you haven't, well, as part of the discussion, you would probably get to know what it is and how you can leverage it before we end. And the topic is how AI is changing the landscape of online communication. So, as I was introduced, my name is Kobe Swakin Kroma. I'm the group head of VIB Digital. I'm an IT consultant. I make music as well, and I love cars. So I'll start with one of the favorite quotes that I've been using for my presentations. The reason I use this quote is because as humans, we tend to think that any new change is bad. But as you'll read here, the human brain is a pattern matching machine. It is constantly looking for patterns in the world around us, and it is very good at finding them. This is a very useful ability, but it can also lead us to make mistakes. For example, if we see a new technology that we don't understand, we may be quick to judge it negatively. We may think that it is dangerous or that it will take away our jobs, but the truth is that we don't know what the future holds. We can't predict how new technologies will impact our lives. So it is important to be open-minded and to give new technologies a chance. Now that's from Neil Harbison. And the reason why I use this is that a lot of people are fighting artificial intelligence, saying that, hey, it's coming for our jobs, it's going to make us lazy, it's going to make kids dumb, it's going to make even adults dumb. But with everything, we as humans also have to evolve to accept it. So what is artificial intelligence? Because that is what is powering ChatGPT, which is the core of our conversation today. Now, there are two words, artificial, which you probably know is anything that is made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally, especially as a copy of something natural. So we have artificial sugar, we have artificial plants, we have artificial smoke, which human beings create. So it's not natural, it's something that human beings created. Then we have intelligence, which is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. So everyone in this group is intelligent. I'm not going to take that from you. You have that, you have the ability and you have acquired certain knowledge and certain skills which you apply in your industry or whichever area you find yourself in. So if you're a driver, you have the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and the skill of driving. Now, when we take, because you're a natural being, you're human, your intelligence is natural. But if I take a car, I take a machine, and I give it the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills in driving, that is artificial intelligence, artificially intelligent driving. So as simple as that, that is how I would explain artificial intelligence to anyone. So if you're a cook and I created a computer or a machine that can cook, I've given it the ability to acquire and apply the knowledge and skills of cooking. Because it is artificial, it becomes an artificially intelligent cook or artificially intelligent chef. I hope that makes sense. Now, AI has been there for a long time. Some people seem to think that, oh, it just came last year or the year before that or 2021. But no, AI started way back in 1956. And we had our first chatbot in 1966. And the first voice recognition system was developed in 1972, all the way before Apple introduced Siri, which was the first virtual assistant on a smartphone in 2011. All the way till 2018, Facebook launched its own AI-powered virtual assistant, and so on and so forth. So AI has been there for a long time. It's not new. It is definitely not going to end now. So Satya Nadella, who's the CEO of Microsoft, said AI is transforming the way we communicate online, allowing us to bridge the gap between people and technology. So I go on to tell you about AI in our lives. A lot of people don't know, but AI is active in your lives in the most mundane ways. You probably have been using it here and there in a car, in your healthcare, in your education, and it's been used to even create new forms of entertainment and some tasks that under normal circumstances, you need a person to do. So, for instance, when I'm coming home, I just say to my virtual assistant, I'm on my way home. It will turn on my air conditioning, turn on my lights and everything before I get home. Now, that's my virtual assistant I'm talking to. The social media algorithms that we use every day when you're interacting with TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, there are algorithms that are working in the background that are making sure that you enjoy your experience on these platforms. So when you're on TikTok and you keep seeing the same stuff, I wouldn't see the same thing because the algorithm is tailored differently. Now, imagine if we needed a person to do this for every single person that visits these platforms. It means that each person would need its own algorithm manager, a human algorithm manager, but we can't do that. So we develop an artificial intelligence system that studies us, studies our habits, and then tailors these platforms to match it. Then you have voice recognition. I'm sure if I say, hey Siri, anybody who's here using an iPhone's phone will come on and then be waiting to take a command. If I say, hey Google, anybody whose smartphone has Google Assistant enabled will come on and then be waiting to take an instruction. Then language translation. Over time, this has evolved. Yes, my hey Google just responded, telling me it doesn't understand. So language translation is also a thing that artificial intelligence has been used to improve, and so on and so forth. So you see the list there, but today we're going to talk about something different. So that's Samsung's AI. Now, in artificial intelligence, data is essential, which is why for those who have already played around with ChatGPT or any other AI chatbots, you realize that some outdated data affects the output that you get, and we'll get to that. So as we go on in this conversation, I want people to realize that all the data that you are creating, when I say data, I don't mean your bundle on your phone, I don't mean your TurboNet data, I mean like data, texts, images, anything that you put online is used to train AI. When you do a research paper and you upload it, that data, if it is public, is used to train AI. Now, that aside, I mentioned self-driving cars, and this is an example of somebody who's trying a self-driving car in Ghana. So if you think that AI is only working in Abuja or outside of the country and it's not working in Ghana, here's somebody who's enjoying his self-driving car on the streets of Ghana. So, and that's because it's been trained on data, it's been trained on road markings, it's been trained on the distance between cars, how to understand people, how to notice people, and all that. So, ChatGPT and social media, all that background is done. We all use social media, like I mentioned at the beginning. But how many of you here use ChatGPT? I'm sure a lot of people have tried it. Some use it actively, some use it very, very well, and some use it just like that. So ChatGPT and social media are two of the most popular forms of online communication. And when I say this, I really mean, I was showing you some graphic. I totally forgot to add it, but I can bring it up. AI technology continues to evolve, and it's causing these two platforms to become intertwined, which is allowing people or individuals to interact with AI-powered bots and automated services. So what this means is that a lot of things happening on social media now is powered by artificial intelligence. And one example is chatbots. So some apps that we use are powered by chatbots that are powered by AI. And when you have a conversation with them, prior to now, if you had a conversation with a chatbot, it would be very robotic. It knows to understand very basic stuff. But ChatGPT, which is a large language model chatbot, was developed by OpenAI, which is a company, and they trained it on a massive data set. When we say a data set, we're talking about text, we're talking about code, we're talking about everything that you can learn from. So if I took anyone in this webinar right now and I wanted to train them, I need to give them data, I need to give them books, I need to give them information for them to learn. If I want to train you in a certain subject, I need to give you books on that subject. Okay, I'm not going to generalize, but almost all of us here used GAST when we're studying integrated science or any kind of science in school. Almost all of us here used Acula. So imagine if our scope was widened and every math book in the world, or every science book in the world, every history book in the world was fed to us. And we're able, mind you, I use the word able because it is near impossible, or basically it is impossible for one person to learn every single subject in the shortest possible time. But ChatGPT has been trained with as much text, as much code, as much information out there as possible, and been trained to generate human quality text. When I say human quality text, I mean when you ask ChatGPT a question and it's answering you, it doesn't sound like you're talking to a robot. It sounds like a human being that is responding. It sounds very natural. And that ability to do that is what sets it apart from a normal search engine. It can translate languages, it can write different kinds of creative content, and it can answer any question you ask it in an informative way. Albeit some questions it won't answer because if it deems it not good, it won't answer it. So what is ChatGPT? As I've mentioned, it's a type of artificial intelligence that enables computers to understand and respond to natural language. And it works by using natural language processing and machine learning algorithms to interpret user inputs and generate appropriate responses. Keyword here is appropriate. And someone will ask, so what are the benefits of using ChatGPT? Well, it makes it more natural. You know, how many of you have tried to Google something and you don't even know what to type? You
I will
just
feel like
type something and you have so many pages that you have to go through, and you don't know which one is right, which one is wrong. It's just so much to go through. But ChatGPT makes it more natural. You don't have to go through pages. It gives you the answer directly. And it is faster than going to ask your lecturer in school. Imagine if you had to do a research topic and you didn't understand something, and the only person you knew who was good at it was your lecturer in school. You probably have to leave your home, take a transport, public transport, or drive all the way to your school, or probably even have to book an appointment to meet your lecturer just to ask them the question, what is E is equal to MC squared? And then wait for the answer. But now you can ask that from ChatGPT and it would answer you. And I'll teach you some of the tricks to get it to even explain things much simpler than it can even do already. It can answer you simply, but it can be even simpler. I can break it down further. So all that, when we take that and we put it into perspective, it's an exciting new technology that has the potential to revolutionize online communication and customer service because of its natural language processing capabilities. So if we took ChatGPT from what I've explained to you and what it can do, and we put it in a customer service environment, and you know how sometimes you can call your call center, your phone network call center if you have a problem, and end up with a not so pleasurable experience because maybe the person didn't have a good day, so they don't respond to you nicely. Do you think AI would ever have a bad mood? Do you think AI would ever wake up on the wrong side of the bed and be grumpy? And when you ask it a question, it wouldn't answer pleasurably or wouldn't answer in a way that makes the customer service experience pleasurable to the user. As a business owner, you don't want that. You want someone who is going to be always happy, going to give the best experience to your customers, your clients, or your users. And that's what AI does. AI doesn't get tired. AI doesn't get hungry. AI doesn't get moody or have mood swings. It doesn't get overexcited. If somebody's angry and then maybe somebody has cracked a joke in the customer service department and you pick up the call and the person is frustrated and shouting and you are still laughing from that joke that somebody cried, cracked, the person who's on the other line is going to feel very offended. Like, you're not taking me serious. But artificial intelligence or AI or ChatGPT is not going to be affected by any of these things. So further, what can it do? It can answer questions, as I've already said. It can provide explanations. It can write creatively. And I can bet you my last penny, it does very well. If you know how to do it well, it translates languages and it can summarize text. So everything I put in this presentation, I can actually ask ChatGPT to summarize it for us to take as a takeaway. And it can assist you to write code. If you are someone who is a coder and you're having issues with maybe some code you've written, you can copy it, paste it, and ask your ChatGPT to check the code. And it will check it for you and let you know. And if you want to brainstorm, you can do that with ChatGPT. You can tell it, hey, I want to brainstorm on this. I want to discuss, I want to work on this project. Can you help me brainstorm? And ChatGPT will help you go through it step by step. And there's so much more that it can do. So you can ask it to generate a to-do list. So say you've received an email from your boss, and your boss says, I want you to do this. It's a long email. You don't even know where to start. You can copy that whole email, put it into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, hey, I want you to look at this email and then create a to-do list out of it, arrange it in order of the fastest to complete. So maybe you want to finish this faster than the other. This one is going to take you longer. You want it to arrange it like that. It will do that for you. Previously, you would need a personal assistant to do that. And Lord knows some of us can't afford a personal assistant, but we can afford ChatGPT, the free version, if we don't have money. And if you have money, you can go for the pro version or the plus, ChatGPT plus, and you get more features. So the AI's transformative potential in education and its ability to help people. Oh yeah, so I wanted you to watch this video, which is talking about ChatGPT passing a US medical licensing exam.
Excuse me, Spikey. I think the sound is not coming.
Oh, apologies. I think because the sound, I thought you guys were hearing the sound. Anyway, so what that was about was that ChatGPT wrote the US medical licensing exam and passed more than half the time. It's already passed the law school exam, it's passed the business school exam. So, and it can do this because it has access to a lot of data. It has read a lot. It has absorbed all this data. So it's easy for it to, to answer these questions in the test. So when it comes to online communication, which we would talk about social media, you can use ChatGPT for your social media management. And number one is to generate engaging content. I mean, we all know, so if you've ever worked in that industry, in the creative industry, in the social media industry, it is difficult to come up with new ideas. Sometimes you have a creative block and you have to take a break and your boss is on your neck hey, we need content ideas. ChatGPT has the capacity to go all over the internet, go through a lot of data and come up with engaging content. But you need to know how to tailor that content to suit you. You can also use it to monitor social media channels. You can use it to provide customer support. You can use it to schedule and publish posts. Now, all these other things I'm mentioning, you can't do with the basic version of ChatGPT. You need what we call an API. So for those who've ever done any coding, you know what APIs are. If you haven't, you'd have to subscribe to this webinar, and I'm sure there will be an episode on programming and coding, a quick webinar on coding so that you can understand APIs and what they do. So an API basically is an interface that helps connect two programs in the most basic explanation. And if you're able to connect ChatGPT, which with its infinite knowledge, you can now have it provide customer support to your clients who are reaching out to you on social media. You can have it schedule and publish posts. You can have it conduct market research based on the interactions with posts on your platform. You can have it analyze your social media performance. You can even have it suggest content ideas and hashtags. It can assist with social media strategies and even conduct competitor evaluation. Something that if you needed a human being to do will take them days, weeks, possibly even months. But with ChatGPT, throw it in there, connect the plugs, tell it to scan here, and it does that in minutes, sometimes even seconds. And if you're into the advertising business, you know, coming up with a copy is also very, very difficult. Matter of fact, there are businesses right now that have replaced their creative writers with AIs like ChatGPT because it can create an ad copy within minutes and will produce content that resonates with your audience. All you have to do is prompt it. Now, the key word here that I want you to keep in mind, we're going to get to it, is prompts. Prompts are what gets these AI chatbots to be able to give you the preferred or the very best of answers. So somebody is probably going to go into ChatGPT and will type, create an ad copy for me. My business is sunlight. Yes, that's very basic. It will create them. I'll be very generic. And you'd probably be happy with it. But if you knew how to prompt it better, you could get a more specialized version of that ad copy that would be good enough for your audience. And if you're in the business field, you probably know that emails are one of the things that you use to communicate here and there. And I've experienced people who join the corporate environment who don't know how to send emails. When I say don't know, I don't mean they don't know how to compose, but they don't know how to write an email to get their message across without sounding either rude, without sounding inappropriate for the corporate space. But with ChatGPT, you can write whatever you're going to write, paste it into ChatGPT, and tell it to make it sound more, say, corporate. Maybe you want it to sound more emotional. Maybe like you're trying to appeal to your boss's emotion. You want that leave, but your mail doesn't suggest that your boss will give you that leave. So you ask ChatGPT to read your email and then rewrite it in a adding more emotion, making it more emotional to appeal to your boss's feelings so that your boss will approve your leave. Or maybe you want to show your anger. You want to be upset. You want to express your anger in an email, but very professionally. So you can write all the cuss words in the email and ask ChatGPT, hey, can you make this more corporate, but still maintain my emotion here? I would still want to come across as angry. And it will do that for you, making it very professional, but keeping it rid of the inappropriate words for the corporate environment. So in social media communication, AI is really changing stuff because chatbots and virtual assistants, as I've mentioned numerous times before, are now leading. When you go to some of the businesses, medium scale to large businesses, they're now replacing their customer service chat representatives with chatbots. And they're using ones powered by tools like ChatGPT because of the natural language processing, because they speak naturally. It doesn't give the person the perception that you are talking to a robot or you're not speaking to a person. You'd get the hi, how are you? And it can give you some of the nuances that are very human. You know, ChatGPT sometimes even throws emojis in some of the responses it's giving to you. And it makes that seem very personal rather than having a human being, as I mentioned, who may have mood swings and stuff that may not communicate in the best way for your clients. And you have one chatbot that can chat with numerous people, so talking hundreds and hundreds of people at the same time. So you're not limited to just speaking for who's speaking to other people. You have one chatbot that is going to be interfacing and liaising with all the people. So it also empowers users. AI-driven chatbots are helping people to, and take catering to their preferences. When I say this, what I mean is that sometimes you join a business, you're trying to liaise with a business, and the person has to ask you certain questions, like what's your name, try to understand who you are. But an AI chatbot can build your persona, can understand the person who it's chatting with based on data that it has been fed. So imagine that as a business, the moment someone walks into your banking hall, or the moment you walk into a banking hall, the bankers, the tellers, and everybody, they know you by face and they start preparing whatever it is that you're coming to do. Imagine you go to a hotel and they know your favorite foods. They know the kind of room that you want. They know the kind of services that you engage in when you come to the hotel. That can't be done by a human being. Hell, I barely remember people's faces. Imagine if I had to work at a hotel and I had to remember all the clients. I wouldn't be able to do that. But a virtual assistant or an AI-powered virtual assistant can be monitoring faces, has facial recognition, will recognize people, and recommend all these things. And if they had to have a conversation with that chatbot, it knows them from the 100th time they had been in that hotel to say, hey, would you like what you had the last time? Maybe the last time the person was in the hotel was 5 years ago. Probably they fired everybody who worked in that hotel for that 5 years. Probably, and if they haven't, they probably don't remember them. But that AI can remember that person and make that recommendation or have conversation. Maybe the person had a problem and that problem would remind that person, like the AI would be reminded of that problem and ask the person if that's the same problem that they're having. So social media content moderation is also very, very difficult. I worked for big brands and I know how difficult it is to moderate content, moderate comments because of the sheer size of the number of content. So this graph you're seeing there is that the content that's uploaded, imagine that you are Facebook, imagine that you are Twitter or Threads or Instagram, and you had to moderate all the content that people are posting, be it text, image, audio, video, and even a metadata in there. Regular people cannot do this in real time as artificial intelligence can. And very normal computer programs cannot read natural language, or we cannot teach a normal computer natural language like ChatGPT does. I can bet you if we taught ChatGPT Pidgin, if we had data on Pidgin and we fed it enough, it would be able to speak Pidgin. Now, what would happen is that then all this content moderation would be easier because some people may write Pidgin to avoid or to dodge moderation on these platforms. But that system, because it knows it, because now it understands the language. How many of you have found out that have heard that AI has learned languages that it hasn't been taught? These are some of the features that ChatGPT has. So yes, moderation is faster. AI can identify harmful content quickly and automatically, and it will reduce the time required to moderate some of these content on social media. So there's sexual content or there's gory content. We don't want that content on social media, but if it goes through and AI system, it can filter all of that. Now, it's also cheaper. If we were going to put human beings in there, like I mentioned, same with the customer service, it would be cheaper. Now, AI on its impact in social media has also been there for a long time. Facebook introduced facial recognition technologies. So some of you have realized that if somebody posts a picture on Facebook or some of these platforms, it can recognize faces. Anybody who's used Google Photos, you know how it's able to recognize faces, or Apple Photos. Google introduced Google Now, which is now Google Assistant. Microsoft launched their Cortana, and you have Facebook launching their chatbot M for Messenger. You have Google Duplex, and Google Duplex, I honestly can't wait till Google makes it public, because it's one of the most interesting examples of artificial intelligence powered AI virtual assistant. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't heard what it can do, just go into Google, YouTube, and then go and search for Google Duplex, and you'll see it's able to talk like a human. So while ChatGPT is able to type like a human, Google Duplex is able to communicate like a human, understands nuances, even does, sounds like, okay, right, making it sound more human. And in 2018, Facebook launched AI-powered translation feature. So you notice that if somebody wrote a comment or wrote a post in a different language and you click see translation, it will translate it. And in 2019, all these things built up to where we are now. Sorry. Now, moving on from that, a lot of people like to ask this question if we're at risk when it comes to artificial intelligence. And a lot of you have seen this stuff. AI generated images. That's Jesus and the 12 disciples taking a selfie. Moses saying shout outs to everybody. We just crossed the Red Sea. John Wick and his dog, the Pope dropping some bars, and the Pope as a DJ in a nightclub. All of these were generated by AI. So if you were on social media and you're trying to create something, we all know how copyright has become a big issue on the internet right now. And you can't post somebody's image without their permission. And sometimes you just want to illustrate something. So as someone who works for maybe a brand, and you want to put out a message out there, but you're unable to get an image that fits your purpose, you can use an artificial intelligence platform to generate these images for your posts, even for personal posts. Let's say I want to visualize myself in a certain way. A lot of you have tried Lensa or Dawn AI, using AI to recreate yourselves in different imaginations. So you can use AI for your personal posts on social media to communicate, or you can use it as a business. And yes, back in music as well. In music as well, if you're trying to post something and you don't have musical content that fits that, you can use some of these AI tools to do that. Now, addressing the risks, a lot of people complaining about AI coming for our jobs and we need to be worried. But if you have some of these skills, digital literacy, creativity and innovation, critical thinking and problem solving, emotional intelligence, workflow and task management, adaptability and learnability, complex problem solving skills, cognitive flexibility, leadership and management, AI is not coming for a job if you have any of these skills, because an AI does not have emotion. It doesn't know good from bad unless we program it that this is not good, this is bad. But trust me, the same way we have established that a knife is for the kitchen, somebody found a reason to use a knife to do bad. The same way we found fire to use it to cook. Somebody uses fire to burn somebody's house. So in as much as it's meant for good, somebody can use it for bad, but it can't tell what's good and what's bad. So we just try, oh yeah, so this is the Google Duplex video, but you can't hear the sound, so I'll just go on. So if AI or ChatGPT can do what you do better, why don't you learn to work better with it? And this is where I'm going to start teaching you some of the skills or some of the things you can do with ChatGPT. Let me see if I can load up ChatGPT and let's play around with it a bit. So some of the tips that I like to share when it comes to using ChatGPT is that a lot of people just treat it like Google, which is all well and good, but it can do way more. For instance, a lot of results or a lot of answers people get from ChatGPT are very, very generic. Can you guys see my ChatGPT screen? Has it replaced the, the presentation? I can't see myself, so I'm gonna have to rely on your eyes.
Yeah, it's being played side by side. Now it's okay. Okay, it's on.
Okay, great. So some of the tips that you can utilize when it comes to using, I mean, if you don't have a ChatGPT account, this is what you do. So you go to chat.openai.com and you sign in. I'm signing in with my Microsoft account. Don't worry about this account. If you try to send me anything, I don't get it. It's a burner account.
It's available.
So, yep. One tip that everyone needs to know about using ChatGPT is that you need to learn to assign it roles. I'm sure you've probably heard, those who've been exploring ChatGPT for some time now have probably heard about this, where you have to tell it to act as something. Hey, I thought I just signed in. Never mind, I can open a different browser. It seems Microsoft Edge is being problematic. So you have to assign it roles, and when you assign it a role, it then assumes that role and gives you answers as that personality. So assumes that personality. Okay, so let me replace Microsoft Edge with Google Chrome. There we go. So over here, as you see, so when you log into ChatGPT, that's 3.5. So this is the basic one, which everyone will use. And ChatGPT 4 is the plus. GPT 3.5 is trained on data. So if you see over here, it says limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So if the data is beyond 2021, yeah, I may not get all that information. So I'm going to ask somebody should just type a question that they want to ask ChatGPT, and then we would ask it and get different answers by using different rules. So in the chat, anybody can just drop a question in the chat for ChatGPT that you want to know. Anyone? Okay, I think someone dropped a message. Who is Kobe Spike? Hey. Okay, so is the world coming to an end? So is the world coming to an end? So we're going to ask it this and see the answer it will give us. So it doesn't have the ability to predict the future, and the knowledge is limited to information available up until September 2021, blah, blah, blah. So this is the answer it's giving us. Now, I'm going to ask it to act as a philosopher and write a paper on the end of the novel. So I've asked it to act as a, so you see the answer I'm getting now is different from the initial question. So asking it to act as a philosopher, it has now assumed the role of a philosopher and is writing the paper. So the two things you need to notice here, it has a role one, and there's a description of what I asked it to do. I asked it to write a paper. If I just said, act as a philosopher and answer the question, when is the world coming to an end? So one, you have to punctuate very well. The answer would also be different once again. So you see, as a philosopher, I must approach the question of when the world is coming to an end with a thoughtful and nuanced perspective. I gave it a role. But you see, the first question I asked it, when I asked it, is the world coming to an end? It was very generic. It says it's an AI language model, and I don't have the ability to predict the future. But when I gave it a role and I asked it to write a paper, I wrote a paper. When I asked it to answer the question, oh, so you can't see, let me zoom in. Is it better now? The answers were different. So let me take the other, what is the best educational curriculum in the world currently? So I'm going to take that. Let me zoom in some more. Somebody says they can't see. So is that better now?
I think this is better.
Okay, great. So what is the best educational curriculum in the world currently? Very basic question. I'm asking it. It will give us a very generic answer. So once again, as you can see, it said, as an AI language model, I don't have personal opinion, but I can provide some insights into educational curricula that are highly. So you see, it always gives this disclaimer because you haven't asked it to act a in a certain capacity. So what role do you think if we gave ChatGPT would be able to answer this question like efficiently or the best way? Someone should leave a comment about that in the chat. What role do you think would be best? Educationist, okay. Anyone else? We've got someone says an educationist. So let me act as a professor of education with 15, about 30 years experience. And answer the question, what is the best? Let me just paste it in the world. You can ask it to even, so I can go further. So let me just answer this and I'll come back and then ask it to do. So you see, it has assumed a role. As a professor of education with 30 years of experience, I must emphasize that there's no definitive best. So you see that the role changes the responses. If you do not give it a role, it just assumes that it is ChatGPT and it's supposed to answer the question as ChatGPT. But when you give it a role, if you wanted to answer the question as a doctor, if you want to answer the question as an engineer, because all these opinions will differ. Mind you, it has massive amounts of data. It has learned, it has different personas. Don't limit it to your scope or your capacity. Don't think that it is as smart as you. Think of it as you times 7 billion people in the world. Think of it as knowing everything that you probably would never know and expect it to be able to deliver. But you need to know how to get it to do that. Now I can ask it to, so let's take the same question. What's the best educational curriculum in the world currently? Let's ask it to list the best educational tertiary education now. Should I say let's just stick with schools, tertiary schools in the world, in order of, in order of what? Someone should help me. Successful graduates. In order of, okay, someone said in order of ranking. Okay, so once again, you see what it starts with. That's an AI language model. I don't have real-time data access, blah, blah, which is understandable because it doesn't. But according to it, MIT is number one, and Stanford number two, Harvard number three, Caltech is number four. So you get that. We could even ask it to do this in for depending. You see, if I asked it to do this in Ghana, let's say I go back up and I ask it to list the best tertiary schools in Ghana. So because this is ChatGPT 3.5, it tells us that it's up to the data is up to 2021. And in Ghana, it says Legon is number one based on the data that it has. Now, I wouldn't take this as fact because this data is being fed by us as humans, as internet users. So this is probably coming from some blog that has basically created this list. It doesn't have the capacity to conduct that research on its own, unless you, someone says a controversial topic. Well, yeah, we can't prove this until we have the data. So you see, if there's data, if there's research conducted, which is why I started by saying that AIs are heavily, effective once they have data that has been fed. Without that data, everything you're getting is just based on what it has been fed. So you have to know how to, should I say, question it or go through it or verify, basically. Now, you see, when I asked it to list it, it did that. I can ask it to, and here's a beautiful thing about ChatGPT. Because when you ask it questions, remember, you can ask a follow-up question. So I can ask it to present it in a table and sorted by institution, region, and what? Area of focus. So when I ask it to do this, it's now going to present it in a table. So you see, University of Ghana, it's in Legon, Accra, area of focus, general, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, it's area of focus in science and technology, UCC general is in Cape Coast. So we're able to format the outputs as well. Now, there's a whole lot more that we can let ChatGPT do. We'll come back to it. Let's just finish with the presentation. When we get to the Q&A session, I'm sure a lot of you will have questions that you want me to answer, which we will answer some of them with ChatGPT. So as I've said, if AI can do what you can do better, why don't you learn to work better with it? Now, some of the risks, yes. Goldman Sachs said 300 million jobs could be affected by the latest wave of AI. And some of these risks I will talk about. When it comes to ChatGPT, privacy concerns, because AI-generated content is a risk to user privacy because it's scouring the internet for our data. It's not saying that, oh, I can't go here, I can't go there. It's getting all the data. But there's another problem. There's biases. Artificial intelligence, even ChatGPT has a huge bias because it was programmed by a human being and it's fed data that is possibly prone to bias. So imagine if the data that was fed to ChatGPT was had a lot of racially discriminating data in there, a lot of Black people would suffer discrimination. If somebody a lot of information or a lot of data that was fed it did not give credit to, let's say, a certain kind of people, it would not be able to give the best results. So we have to also take all these things into consideration. Because like I said, you know what, just imagine that ChatGPT or any AI that's like ChatGPT as a child, that is very intelligent. If you gave birth to a child today and that child was passing medical exam, passing law exam, passing business school exam, would you consider that child as capable of handling the world on their own just because they have that knowledge? No, obviously not, because they are very, very infantile. They don't know the world as it should be. You and I have lived in this world for a number of years and we've learned, and we still continue to learn. But AI cannot learn about our world the way we learn because it doesn't feel emotions. AI would not know, ChatGPT would not know that telling you, um, you know, using a certain term to describe you would be offensive and could hurt your feelings. Because if you use that against it, it wouldn't hurt its feelings. It wouldn't know because it has no feeling. So these biases tend to find their way into the programming, which is why in our part of the world, we also need to make an effort to feed these platforms with data. For instance, anyone can try with ChatGPT when you can ask ChatGPT who was the first newscaster in Ghana, for instance. If that data has not been fed it wouldn't know. If you ask it who was the first female DJ, I don't think it would be able to give you that answer unless that data is there. Ask it the oldest business in Ghana, the oldest business. I don't think that data exists on the internet for ChatGPT to be able to get it. So all that data, if we don't feed it, it's going to be very biased. It's going to be very, some of it untrue because it's going to guess. It doesn't like to give no answer. So most of the time you notice that it guesses or it tries to fill in certain answers when it thinks that it would make sense to you, or when it thinks that, okay, this could be a possible answer. So yeah, AI can lie. And human oversight. Human intervention is necessary to ensure that AI-generated content aligns with value and ethics of the organization. So when you go on ChatGPT, you notice that they issue these disclaimers. And that's why you'd find all these tech big heads saying that there should be regulation in AI, ChatGPT and all that, because of the fear of what people could do with it, the fear of what it can do, and the fear of the impact it can have on humanity. So there has to be a human oversight. And even when you're studying AI, there's a model, there's a human in the middle aspect to certain parts of AI, and which is why people expect that human intervention should be used in AI. Then transparency. So if I'm an organization and I'm using AI, I need to be transparent about it and provide information about the data that's being used. Like I gave you the example about the hotel. So assuming people came to my hotel and I had cameras there that were looking at them. I was collecting data about their activity. Maybe that person has been lying to their spouse, that they've been going for a conference somewhere, but they've been coming to my hotel. Then one day, this couple comes back to the hotel and the system says, "Welcome back, Kobe Spikey." And meanwhile, my wife probably thinks that I've never been to that hotel. And they're like, "Would you like your usual?" And the wife is looking at me like, what is it talking about? So there has to be that transparency where the AI is letting you know how it's using your data. If you're doing any searches on ChatGPT or any LLM, you need to know what it's doing with that data. You need to know how it's collecting. I'm sure some of you saw on the news when information was leaked, people's chat history on ChatGPT was leaked, or there was it was basically, yeah, let me just use the word leaked. That's a problem. And that's some of the things that people need to know how it works or where it goes through. And there are other risks, but I'll just glaze through them because I think we far spent time. So I will end this with, yeah, we just need to work smart and not work hard. I would rather life was easier with AI. The same way the computer came to make life easy, the same way the mobile phone came to make life easy, the same way the television has made life easy, AI, ChatGPT, and its likes are making life easy. So the plus side, it's time saving and the new job opportunities. For those who don't know, prompt engineering, that is the ability to prompt AIs to do stuff, is a job opportunity. I've seen CNET has fired most of its writers and has employed AIs like ChatGPT to write its articles. And there's only one editor who proofreads these articles to make sure that they're factual, it's true, and it can go. And yes, it opens us up to new styles of, for instance, you may not know that you have a skill of writing of a certain style, but if you start using ChatGPT, explore it, and it opens your mind up to new stuff that you could do, maybe even a new enterprise that you could start. I've given you some of the things that it can do, and it pushes us humans to new frontiers. I don't think that we would have been able to go to the moon if we didn't have the computer. The same way, there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs now that we have artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT. And it gives us the ability of choice. Like you can ask it questions, it gives you the answers, gives you all the options, and you're able to make different choices. You're able to explore different areas, and you can make money. Think about if you were hired as a writer for maybe a website to be writing articles, and you're going to pay you per article. Now you have ChatGPT that you can use to write your articles using your own knowledge. Once again, let me add a disclaimer. You need to have an idea of the industry that you're writing about or that you're querying ChatGPT or any other AI about. You need to have an idea. Else, you're just going to end up looking like an idiot. I'm sorry, but imagine that AI gives you wrong, ChatGPT gives you wrong information, and it goes out there and it's not true. And yeah, it reduces the risks. I put an asterisk there because imagine like the example I gave you that I have to go to your school. You don't have to sit in a car and get hit by something. So yeah, this was also a movie, but since I can't play it, let's just round up. Thank you very much. The only constant is change. That's from Heraclitus. So I'm open to questions now. You can ask me any questions. Yeah, someone says, can we please get access to the slides? I'm posting a link in the chat. For those, it's sort of what do you call it? I need you to give me feedback on the presentation. And for those who a link to the presentation for you to download. So yes, you give me, I give you. So I'm ready for questions. Okay, so someone is asking does it support diagrams and pictures? Which are you asking if ChatGPT supports diagrams and pictures? If that's what you're asking. Use that to solve assignments. If AI provides an answer on the first instance and tell it you're wrong, it agrees instead of being resolute like humans that know that it's true. Which is true, which is why I tell people that you have to have an idea. So you do not use ChatGPT to do your homework. Use it to help you to do something. And you need to know what you're asking it. So I've posted a link to the form, the feedback form, just for those who respond, I will send but never mind. I mean, how do you verify the answers it gives? It really depends on you. Sometimes you have to, if you don't have any idea about the industry and it gives you an answer, and you go somewhere to even go and ask, how do you even verify that that area, that answer you're asking over there is also true? Do you get it? And how do we use a tool and still sound original when we send out essays or write up? So the tool is good. I like the fact that you said tool. So that's what you're supposed to use that as a tool. So let me just bring up ChatGPT once again and then show you something. So assuming you're using ChatGPT to write an essay. So write an essay about the evolution of Intel CPUs. And yeah, let's just limit it to that. This is what, this is the basic thing somebody would write. Okay, you've asked it, it's going to do this. If I'm a lecturer and you bring this to me, I'll instantly know that you just copied and pasted from ChatGPT. You need to put in effort. So just asking ChatGPT to write all of this is not enough. There's a trick to using ChatGPT. The more you use it, the more you feed it with your text, the more it begins to sound like you. It learns how you type. Mind you, if you're creating an account, the account you're creating is not just for it to remember your messages and stuff, or your queries, sorry. It can learn to sound like you. I don't know if this is the same with what do you call it, with the free version, but with the plus version, the more you feed it, the more you write, it begins to learn your style of writing, and you can ask it to write in your style, in the style of, say, Spiky, right? Based on how much I write, how much I feed it. So let me see if I can trigger that. So let's repeat this same thing. Write an essay about the evolution of Intel CPUs as I would based on my previous. Let's see if the basic one would get it. Okay. So I will compare this first paragraph. It still doesn't sound very much like me. But as I was saying, it would be best if you gave it that role and you gave it the text that you've written and asked it to fill it. So I went into I'll give you a simple example. I went for an event and I wrote some points and I fed it into ChatGPT and asked it to write an article, just the pointers, and I was able to write the article. But I fed it with a chapter, an initial chapter, which I wrote myself, and asked it to follow the style of the initial chapter and continue that article like that. And it did. And so some of the tips that I'm saying you should learn to do is to help it assume that role that you want it to, so that it can give you something for it to sound like you. But most often, I would suggest that you initially write something, start off with something, and ask it to help you finish it. So let me continue to the next question. Do you recommend some steps to go about the prompts to give in order to make maximum use of it? Yes. So as I mentioned, assign roles. Always use act as if you want to do something. So for instance, when I was asking this question, act as a student in a tertiary education or a student of computer science. That would be a role that I'll give it. Act as a student of computer science, writing an article about the evolution of the Intel CPUs. Then you can add further descriptions. You need to make it very concise. Mind you, it's still a computer. It's not a human being. And so you need to give it all the information and all what you're trying to achieve as much as possible so it can give you the best. And if you want the outputs to be different, you can ask it to format it. So let's say this question, I wanted it to be a presentation. I can ask it to act as a computer science student. So let me just illustrate. So act as a computer science student and create a presentation on the evolution of Intel CPUs. Now, it would not create a PowerPoint for you to download, but it will give you slide by slide. So as you can see, evolution of Intel CPU, a journey through technological advancement. It tells you what to do, briefly introduce a topic and its significance in the field. So this is the presentation layout, right? You can format it into, let's say, a list or a table, as I've already described. And once you're done, yeah. So I can ask it, I can prompt it with follow-up questions or other and add other commands. So let's say I've asked it this. I want it to provide reference links to the provide reference links. So in the plus version, it would have provided more links, but now it's doing something because it doesn't have access to the internet, so it cannot give me current links, but it's giving me what it has. So if you want to ask for reference links, it provided all of these things. And some of the things you can do is you can ask it to help you with certain skills. Okay, so let me go back to the questions prompted. Can we have your contact? Yeah, I can share my email. You can follow me on any social media platform. I like the animated characters. Oh, that was from Lensa. Yeah, Lensa. I lost connection. Seems the app has limited usage for a day. ChatGPT so far, if you don't want to use the plus version, you want to use the free version, if there is a lot of traffic to it, yes, it will be suffering from what do you call it? Too much traffic, yeah, basically. So you'll not be getting as instantaneous responses as I'm getting right now. No, I'm not using a paid version of ChatGPT for this because I'm not sure everyone has access to it. But if you want to, you can. It has other features in the plus version. Can you use AI for a thesis and it would be free from plagiarism? No, it won't be free from plagiarism because it's being fed information from somewhere on the internet. So you would have to go and do a plagiarism check to see if your stuff is not plagiarized. Yes, it would rewrite, it would try to imagine some of the text, or when I say reimagine, that's even wrong. It just tries to reword the text to sound original, like it's coming from it. But most of it is coming from a source. So you can ask it, just like I asked it to provide reference links, you can ask it to provide reference links and it would give you all the information. Does it create a website? Here we go. Let me ask ChatGPT to create a simple HTML site for an online store. Clothing store. So it's going to give you the HTML templates. That's it, writing the code. And why don't you copy the code and then paste it into your, what do you call it? Sorry, your IDE, your developer environment. But this is very basic. So if you look at this, if you're anybody who's ever written HTML codes, this is like just a very short page. So I've seen the menu. This is the menu. That's the header. So home, shop, contact. That's because I asked it to write an HTML website. Let's see if we can create a WordPress template.
Okay, Kobe. So we are running up. We are far behind time now, and
Sure.
I must say let's use the next 3 to 5 minutes to round up with the questions you have so far. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you very much. This is the last question that I just answered. I asked it to create a WordPress template. So it wrote the code. But like I said, you need to have an idea of what you're doing to know if it works and how to test it. So if you ask it to write this code, it's written the code, but how are you going to test it if you don't even know, you don't have the basic idea of how to leverage this code? And someone's asking, what's my LinkedIn? Copy Spiking Chroma. So you can just find me over there. Can you have ChatGPT on your phone? Yes, there's ChatGPT on iOS currently. And if you're using Android, there's a reservation. So it's going to be available next week. So you can just search for it and you'd see you can reserve you can reserve it, and once it's available, you can register. And once it's available, to automatically download it to your phone. Thank you. This was like me. Thank you too. Can I get a link to is Lensa, Lensa, not Mensa, to create that? Yeah, Lensa. There are others. There's Lensa, there's Dawn. You can try any of them. Any more questions before we end? And yes, I would really appreciate it as well. Oh, yes. And sometimes if you want to ask ChatGPT you can ask it something, you can ask it to explain something to you like a child. So explain how ChatGPT works to a child. So you see, if you really want to break something down, always use explain how, like to a child. Use that to prompt ChatGPT to simplify it. It can help me brainstorm for a presentation. I should have done this before this presentation on ChatGPT and social media. And you can actually even ask it to test you to know if you actually know stuff. So before I did this presentation, I could have asked it to test me, and it should ask me the question one after the other. All these things are ways or methods that you can get ChatGPT to really help you to get the most out of ChatGPT. So since I do not have, okay, someone says, I have heard of prompt engineer. Can you talk more on that? Oh yeah, I did. So a prompt engineer, what we're doing right now is prompting. And there's a lot of ways that you can talk to ChatGPT to get the most out of it. Asking him basic questions, it gives you very generic stuff, but you can take it a step further. You can push it to give you certain, like more, but you'd have to understand the prompts. Like I mentioned, you need to understand roles, you need to understand tones, you need to understand the formatting, you need to understand how you want it to, like how far you want it to go. When you upgrade to the plus mode, you can even templatize your prompts. You can create a template out of the prompt. So if you're asking it to create a workout plan for you, and you define all the other variables in that workout plan, you can set it to remember that, okay, when I replace this with each variable with a different variable. And as you go on, it seems to, it will just basically do more. Yeah, I think I'm exhausted.
Okay, Kobe. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, you spent more than an hour talking to us and educating us on ChatGPT. the positives and the negatives and all that. We so much appreciate that. I want to thank all our listeners and viewers for standing by throughout this over 1 hour session. And we really appreciate the time you shared with us. And we're going to come your way again, probably on the 10th of August, with another exciting topic. This is Ghana India Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. And what we do is build capacity in ICT. We are into research and innovation, and we are also into consultancy services in any IT-related area. So this is what we stand for, and we are an agency under the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization. We have branches. We have a branch in Accra here. That is where I'm speaking from. We have a branch in Sunyane, and then our other branches in Bolgatanga. If you want to contact us, you can get us on social media at Kofi Annan ICT. And then our phone number for Accra is 055 666 0355. 055 666 0355. For Sunyane, 020 150-5489. 020-150-5489. For Bolgatanga is 020-150-5407. 020-150-5407. Some of the courses we run here are Office Productivity Suite, certificate in software development. We have a diploma in business computing. We run Cisco Certified Network Associate. We run network and information security, cyber security. We run CISA, that is Certified Information Systems Audit, Oracle, and a lot of courses in IT. So if you are thinking of getting skills in ICT, think nowhere but think the Ghana India Kofi Annan Center of Excellence in ICT. We have our social media manager here, and I want him to share a word with us before we draw the curtains.
Hello. Okay, so thank you, Horace. For those of you who are asking how you're going to get the recordings, so what will happen is we'll upload this particular video on our YouTube channel. So the link will be sent to all your emails. So if you are here and registered, kindly note that we'll send you the link accordingly. Also, it will be at your very best interest that you like, you follow our various pages so that you can be updated accordingly, especially for our subsequent tech webinar. Some people couldn't join this particular one because of the limitation we had. So we are urging all of you, when you see any post, if you see any flyer where you see that there's a tech webinar, kindly register, and then the link will be sent to you. So please, on Facebook, we are Kofi Annan ICT, on Instagram, Kofi Annan ICT, on LinkedIn, and also on Thread, and also on YouTube. So you subscribe, go on YouTube right now and subscribe. When we upload this particular recording, you'll see the notification, and then you can start watching it all over again. We are very thankful that you could join us for this exciting webinar. Our subsequent one, or our next webinar, will be very enlightening as well. So please stay tuned, and also we'll update you accordingly on our various social media platforms. Thank you so much.